Hi, my name is Jade Baxley, and today we will be reading Bone Soup by Alyssa Capucilli. Before we start reading, I would like to go over some vocab words. Today we have cauldron, which is a large cooking pot, rattle, a sharp knocking sound, savory, food that is salty or spicy. As we look at the front and back cover, what are some ingredients do you think we will find in the bone soup and why? What are some ingredients that you would put in the bone soup? Let's find out what's going to be in that bone soup. Bone soup, a spooky, tasty tale. One Halloween morning, 3 very hungry witches were looking for a tasty treat. They checked the cupboards, only find nothing there. Bare, said Naggy Witch. Empty, said Craggy Witch. Only a small, dry bone, said Scraggy Witch. Only a bone. Only a bone, you say? Hit poof! Let's make bone soup, sisters, cackled Naggy Witch gleefully. Bone soup is the perfect Halloween treat. The 3 witches carried their cauldron and bone far away until they came to a door. The witches hadn't even begun to knock when the door groaned open, and there, the scariest looking monster they had ever seen towered before them. It made the witches shiver, but alas, they were hungry. Trick or treat, we've something unusually good to eat. It's bone soup, soup from a bone, said Naggy Witch. Bone soup? Impossible! Go away! There will be time for your tricks later, boomed the monster. Piff poof, it's no trick, a bit of water is all we need, promised Naggy Witch. I'm hungry, Papa, said a little monster as she appeared at the door. Can we make bone soup, please? None of your tricks, boomed the monster. Piff poof, only a treat, Naggy Witch replied, and in minutes the bone and the water were bubbling inside the cauldron. And as you guys have heard, cauldron, let's remember, it is the large pot that the witches are cooking in. Naggy Witch gave the cauldron a stir. She took a small taste. Bewitching, she said. If only we had something savory. That's all it needs. But where can we find it? Look, another door, said Craggy Witch. And again we have savory, which is something spicy or salty, and that would be the cauldron that they are cooking in. The 3 witches hadn't even begun to knock when the door opened with a hiss. And there, the spookiest ghost they had ever seen floated before them. It made the witches tremble, but alas, they were hungry. Trick or treat, we've something unusually good to eat. It's bone soup, soup from a bone. A savory morsel is all it needs. Bone soup? Impossible. Go away. There will be time for your tricks later, called the ghost. Piff poof! It's no trick, it's a treat, said Scraggy Witch. And as the ghost was feeling a bit hungry, a most savory eye of a giant was soon bubbling in the cauldron. dazzling," said Maggie Witch after a small taste. "If only we had something crunchy." And with that the eeriest of ghouls brought forth a long, crackly lizard's tail. "Piff, poof, into the cauldron it goes," cried Maggie Witch. What did the witches keep repeating when asking or receiving ingredients? An unusual scent began to waft through the air now. Doors creaked open, windows squeaked wide too. "Begooling," said Maggie Witch, "but I wonder, can a tasty tidbit or two be found?" "Juice of a toad, earthworms, dried dragon wings," ruled a bat. "Colored flies, hot and sweet," snarled a goblin. "Sludge, slimy sludge," whispered a mummy. "Claws, claws, and more claws," rattled a skeleton. And there's rattle, the other vocab word, which means a sharp knocking sound. And why do you guys think the witches got turned away at first when they were knocking on the doors? "Piff, poof, hypnotizing," mumbled Maggie Witch, mixing and stirring, mixing and stirring. "Wrinkled fingers, old toenails," howled a werewolf. "Dead leaves, cobwebs, and the wrinkleless of prunes," snickered a vampire. Even Maggie Witch had to gasp. Now the crowd was growing hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. "Bone soup, soup from a bone. This better not be a trick," growled the monster. He was feeling particularly fierce and quite hungry just then. "I'll take back that eye," warned the ghost. "And the crackly tail," grumbled the ghoul. "I won't hang around much longer," sneered the bat. "I'll use powers of my own," growled the goblin. "Let's wrap this up now," mumbled the mummy. "Don't rattle me further," clattered the skeleton. "Ooh, let's go," howled the werewolf. "Before it's too late," snarled the vampire, baring his fangs. "Bone, soup, soup from a bone," they whispered. "Bone, soup, soup from a bone," they chanted. "Bone, soup, soup from a bone," they roared. "Wait, I know what needs," called a small voice. "You do?" asked Maggie Witch. "3 taps of your wand, Scraggy Witch," said the little monster. "Tap, tap, tap." "2 spins of your broom, Craggy Witch." "And 1 wave of your cape, Naggy Witch, if you please." Naggy Witch waved her cape over the bubbling brew. Then she mixed and stirred, and she took one more taste. "Piff, poof, imagine that!" Maggie Witch cackled gleefully. "Bone soup, and it's ready at last. Trick or treat, trick or treat," called Naggy Witch. "We've done something unusually good to eat." And as a full moon rose in the sky, the 3 witches filled the steaming bowl of bone soup for all. It was made with ingredients tried and true, and some monstrously new. The soup was scary, spooky, eerie, bewitching, bedazzling, beguiling, hypnotizing, and spellbinding. But most of all, piff poof, it was bone-chillingly delicious. Based on the story, what was the soup like? How many monsters waited for the soup and why? And I'm Jade Baxley. Thanks for reading.